Alright, so I just want to make a quick video about maintenance on the Sub 37 because I feel like there's not a whole lot of information on that. It's pretty straightforward to take apart and a few things to note. So to get this panel off, you only need to remove the screw right here and the screw right there. Then from there, it basically will tip up a little bit. Let's see if I can demonstrate that. Well, okay, no, it's too taut right now with I have the keyboard. Well, here, I'll put that here. Okay. So yeah, as you can see, it slips into that channel. So you take it out, you can just tilt it up. And if you just want to get the keyboard out to replace the pads or a broken key or anything like that, just tilt it up. And then I found the best way of getting the keyboard out, well, the only way, there's I believe there's 6 or 8, there's groups of 2 screws in the back, and I would highly recommend, so you can set the synth up on these 2 it's horns right here, so that it's kind of facing a little bit down this way. I would highly recommend loosening the screws, but not fully taking them out yet with your screwdriver, and then push up on the keyboard so that those screws stick up, and then hand loosen them while keeping a hand on here, because you don't want that to fall out and yank on those cables and those ribbon cables right there. Then once you set it down, it's as simple as just pulling up on one of the keys and the keyboard will lift out. And if you have this already loosened up, you can easily pull it out. Yeah, one of the things to note, so yeah, as you can see, I pulled the key off, and that was pretty simple. It took me a hot second, the first time I did it a while back, to figure out the best technique for getting these out. I thought I was wrenching on the, in these a little bit hard with the screwdriver, and I was like, I'm doing something wrong. So I took the spring off, and then the second you take the spring off, the tension comes off the key. And I'll show you that real quick, because I'm going to pull this key. It's sitting a little bit different than the others here, so I'm going to be working on that today. But let's see if I can get the angle. So yeah, it's as simple as just pulling that up, and you can actually, I like to keep them in there. It'll stick in that slot typically. I'm surprised that one popped out fully. And once you do that, you can tell the keys, well, yeah, the spring tension's off of it. And it's as simple as putting a screwdriver in it. And I like to do just a little twist. And that's going to be a hard thing to show with just one hand. But let's see, I can just do a little twist and then pull up. Oh yeah, yeah. So if you're putting a lot of pressure on it, you're doing it wrong. It takes very little pressure, and the thing pops up, and then the little pads. Gosh, I need some better light here, but the little pad just sits right there. Let's see if I can get this to expose right. Yeah, as you can see, the pad sits right there, and it pulls off super easy. And these ones are, this is a new one actually that I got from Moog, and it has those little bump stops on both sides. Now the old ones that came on it only have them on the lower side for the down press. So the problem with that is this key sits in its resting state at the top a little lower, because it has these bump stops for the top for the reset. And I've noticed that this key, because I got this one from Moog, when I bought this synth, it for some reason was missing one of the pads, and I didn't find it even in the synth. I have no idea how that happened. But anyways, yeah, newer ones have the pads on the top and bottom. Those are a little bit quieter on the reset, I found. Like these ones have a funk, and that one's like way more silent. So they obviously figured that out, and it works a little better now. Last thing I wanted to touch on, actually there's 2 things. Number one, these get really gummy over time. I thought somebody was screwing with me and like used this without me knowing and had honey on their hands or something. It gets really gross. And this one I've fixed up a bit. I'm going to do this one in a second, but you don't even have to take it apart. Isopropyl alcohol, or like some alcohol pads, really clean this up. I have a little bit more left to do, and a guitar pick even, because just scraping that gumminess off of it. I don't know why this old rubber does that. It's really annoying. The other thing with the, there's quite a bit of YouTube documentation on, but this is the Tribute model, and there is a filter cutoff issue. And when I bought this, it had that. It would, you know, like cut out weird when I did a filter sweep on it. And if you contact Moog, it's about 115 or 130, I want to say, bucks to get just the entire. Let me show you here. The entire other circuit board for this. Right there. So you can see there's two main boards, and they're connected with this. They're connected with this ribbon cable, and this is the new pot. The old one did not sit out like that. It wasn't a metal pot. It was one of the on the board ones, like everything else. But the problem is, because it's a filter sweep, if you use it a lot, it'll wear out. So yeah, it's not too much. It was super straightforward replacing it. Take this jack out, pull the knobs out, and there's just little, I want to say, this one was 1/2 inch. That's like a standard guitar jack. The other ones were just slightly under 1/2 inch, like 3/8 or 7/16 or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but it's pretty straightforward. And yeah, you just take all those off. All these are the same, those screws. This is the only one that's 1/2 inch, so keep track of that one. And then, you know, obviously keep track of your parts, but it was pretty simple. Then the board just pulls off. You pull the ribbon cable, super straightforward. Put the next board on the back, and put it all together. And yeah, for that, literally all you have to take off is just this screw and the one on the other side. I took the whole damn thing apart trying to figure that out, and it was quite straightforward. Yeah, and then putting the keys back on. My ADHD is just going all over the place probably here, but yeah, just pop it back on. It literally just goes like funk. It makes a little click as it goes back in. And this one I'm gonna put back in. So here, let's put this pad back on. Oh, come on. There we go. All right. All right. So yeah, got it lined up. Got it. This is hard to do with one hand. All right. Well, I guess I'll fiddle with that later once I have both my hands at my disposal. But it literally just clicks back in really easy. Then you put the spring back on. So all you need to do, pretty much everything on 737, is a screwdriver and a pair of needle nose. You could probably get away without the needle nose. I've just shoved a flathead in these kind of springs, just like on a Floyd Rose guitar or something. Yeah, you don't. All you need is really a screwdriver, but I would recommend this. Oh, and then I guess some kind of either adjustable wrench, or ideally the right size wrenches for taking those off if you're doing the circuit board. And then one last tip, and the ADHD is kicking in, but these are really delicate. Try not to bump those or catch yourself on one of those, because those could pop off really easy. I accidentally touched one and bent it. As I pushed it back in, I could tell it almost broke. It's like hanging on by a thread. So be wary of these things. They're very, very thin and brittle. Yeah, but other than that, pretty straightforward to work on. So yeah, if you have the filter cutoff issue, I would highly recommend doing it yourself. Moog is extremely hard to contact. I forget the number for them, but it's really hard to find. That's probably the most painful part of the whole process. But like, anyone can do the board on this, and anyone can replace the pads if you want to have a little bit more quiet, a little more dampened recoil to that. I will say, so the reason I have it apart today is I was going to just replace all the pads from this person I got on YouTube. It's not YouTube, I'm spacing out. On eBay. And that is definitely not the right size, and it said it worked on a Moog Sub 37. So, yeah, as I showed you just a second ago, you should know what they look like. So, there you got the square in the middle. There you go. I think that about does it.